The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
We're going to talk about the MLB right now. We'll get you updated on some of the scores first of all.
The Giants just traded for Marlon Byrd.
Yeah, that broke. I think I heard that on my way down here. They got Marlon Byrd and they traded just
Steven Johnson.
Yeah,
and they got cash in return.
Yeah, I think he was like a double-A prospect or something. Let's see, we'll get you updated on some scores here. There's been a lot of scoring in the Phillies-Marlins game early. It's 2-1 Marlins. This is sort of a meaningless game, I guess you could say. It looks like, let's see, there was a sac fly for the Phillies, and then there was a wild pitch, and that for the Marlins, so that's how they scored. Cleveland has a 1-0 lead over the Yankees. Pittsburgh just keeps scoring and keeps winning. They have a 1-0 lead over the Giants. Detroit has a 1-0 lead over Texas. They're continuing their scoring, too. Cincinnati, a 1-0 lead over Arizona. Boston, a 1-0 lead over Kansas City. So there's all the games that have started so far. Let's see. Every single game that has started so far, there's been scoring in the first innings.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that in the Cub game there's scoring in the first inning, in the bottom half.
In the bottom of the first inning, right? I think we'll see something good. I think we'll see a very good game by Jake Arrieta. I think maybe a no-hitter. Maybe tonight's the night for the no-hitter. Wouldn't that get the Cubs back on track? Miami's now up 3-1, by the way, against Philadelphia. So Philadelphia must have one of their bad pitchers going out there again. So let's take a look at the standings right now. As you look at the regular season standings, the Yankees still have a two-game lead over Toronto, which I thought was very interesting because it doesn't seem like the Yankees have been playing well, but these last three games, they've won all three of them. And they're 6-4 in their last 10, and Toronto lost to Philadelphia last night, which was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. There's been a lot of good teams have been playing bad against Philadelphia recently. Although for them, Maikel Franco might be out for the season.
Mm-hmm. I heard that he might be out for a long time. And the Yankees are 67-52. And Toronto 66-55. Baltimore is 5 games behind them. Tampa Bay 8.5 behind them. It's not that close as far as the last 3 teams in the AL East. But for the first two, the Yankees and Blue Jays, that's definitely going to be a big race. Kansas City. Did you want to guess how big Kansas City's lead is in the Central?
Isn't it like 11.5 or 12 games?
It's more than that now.
14.5?
Yes, it's 14.5. They're 14.5 games ahead of Minnesota. Minnesota's second in the division, and they're a game and a half, and then they're a half a game above Detroit.
Whew.
Minnesota fell fast.
They did, yeah. They were more pretenders. Do you know the Braves have lost 18 of their last 20 road games?
That doesn't surprise me considering I read their record. They were like 22-41 on the road or something.
Yeah, well, let's hope that awful streak continues for the next 4 games.
I think it will, and they're on a current 3-game losing streak. It looks like they got swept by the Padres of all teams.
Yeah,
they've been in some trouble too.
Yeah, those. I thought the Braves would be in a better position than they are right now. I didn't think they would be like contenders. I thought they'd just be better off than they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you would think so, but
that's what happens when
no pitching.
Yeah, well, that and when you have a lot of players underperforming, like Julio Teheran, Andrelton Simmons hasn't really done as much after he signed that big deal. Like when he hit 17 home runs, I don't even think he's hit 10 since then.
Yeah, no, he hasn't done anything really. The AL West, Houston has a 2.5 game lead over the Angels. Texas is coming back a little bit. They're 3 games above 500. I remember, I think last week they were under 500, so they've been on a big winning streak. They just beat Seattle 7-2. They had, I think, back-to-back-to-back home runs in that game. I think I don't remember exactly who were the people that hit it, but Texas sits 4 games back of the division. So this division is still up for grabs. Seattle and Oakland are down, but other than that, Houston, LA, and Texas. These are 3 pretty good teams that are fighting for a position.
Yep.
I think, if I was to guess, I would say Houston will probably end up winning this division. But I know right now the Angels have a wild card, but I could see that falling very fast. And I think you could see a team like Texas come up and snatch it, or a team like Baltimore come up and snatch it. I think Toronto will have a wild card no matter what. Mm-hmm. Which I think a lot of people would say. The National League, you look at the Mets leading the division by 3.5, and that's still climbing, but Washington did get back on the winning track, although they were facing the Rockies. They won 2 straight. That puts them only a game above 500. It's amazing to think they were below 500. This team that went out and got Scherzer, this team that had, probably the best pitching staff in baseball at the start of the season, and then, their high-powered offense, but not anymore. They've really gone down. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games, and they won 2. So that tells you, how bad they were before these 2 wins. And then Atlanta sits 11 games back of the Mets, which is that's just a mess. 53-67, and then Miami and Philadelphia even worse, but that was expected.
Yeah. The Nationals are honestly one of the most surprising teams this year, because I think everyone thought they were just going to dominate and cruise to the playoffs, and
they should have. Yeah,
they're in a position that they might miss.
They probably will miss unless the Mets can screw up big, which I really don't see happening because the Mets have such a good pitching staff. They might have the best pitching staff in all of baseball now. When you go starting 5 for starting 5, I think they might have the best.
And the Mets isn't even healthy right now. Wheeler's out.
Mm-hmm. Imagine when Wheeler comes back and he replaces Neese.
Yeah, same with Steven Matz. He's out. He could replace Bartolo Colon.
Yep, the old guy, Bartolo Colon, still chugging along. But they've got such a dominating staff with DeGrom and Syndergaard, and Neese has been very good this year. Yeah. Matt Harvey, of course.
Zach Wheeler was really good last year.
Mm-hmm.
He had Tommy John surgery. Steven Matz was really good in his 2 or 3 starts.
I remember he was a great hitter, right? He had a couple of hits.
He was 3 for 3 in his debut with 3 RBIs.
Right. I think he had a home run too, right?
He might have hit I think the home run might have been in the second game.
Okay.
He did hit a home run.
Yeah,
though.
he's crazy. But yeah, the injuries have sort of plagued them, but they've been very good. So I think when you look at Washington and the Mets, I don't think Washington can catch New York. The Mets, added what they really needed offensively, and Yoenis Cespedes, Curtis Granderson's been on fire lately. So I think there's no stopping the Miracle Mets.
Let's hope that the Cubs can beat them in the postseason.
Right. Well, unfortunately, if it ended right now, if the Cubs beat Pittsburgh in the wild card game, they'd play St. Louis.
That's the one negative.
Or would they?
Yeah, they would. If St. Louis is the best record, they'd be playing them.
Yeah, it looks like they would. Well, the Dodgers are 67-53, and the Cubs are 67-51.
Well, I think the winner of the wild card.
But the winner of the wild card has to play the best record.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it would be the Dodgers and Mets playing, which that would be a fun series. I think I'd probably be rooting for the Mets, I guess.
Yeah.
Just because I like them more, but I think obviously that would be tough. I really hope it doesn't end up that the Cubs end up playing St. Louis if they make it to the playoffs and they win that wild card game. That would be kind of a bummer, but I don't really see any way that's not going to happen, I guess. Because obviously we want them to win the wild card game, clearly. Although St. Louis and Pittsburgh would be a fun matchup, too. But obviously we want the Cubs in there. Cincinnati has been playing horribly of late. They're on a 5-game losing streak.
They've been playing horribly of all season.
Pretty much, and they still have some talent on their team, which is kind of surprising, but again, no pitching, really. So.
Yeah, not with Cueto gone. I'm sure Chapman will be traded next year since they really don't.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Who's going to end up getting Chapman? That's what I want to know. I mean, who's going to get that
Yeah,
guy?
apparently they wanted the amount of talent that the Phillies got for Cole Hamels, and that's not happening for a relief pitcher.
No. It's also like it's like how San Diego got Craig Kimbrell, and that hasn't worked out either.
Yeah, you might have to take a bad contract in return, except the only bad contract the Reds really have, I guess you could say, is Homer Bailey. I'm sure they regret that contract right now.
I think so.
Like, hey, you have to take Homer Bailey with them, and you get to eat the entire salary, and then you can give us 3 good prospects.
Right. Now, as you look at the NL West, Mike Leake is coming back this weekend, I heard. So
yeah,
San Francisco gets back a big piece.
Yep, they also lose one with Hunter Pence.
They do, but they added Marlon Byrd, which isn't a horrible trade-off. I mean, obviously Hunter Pence is better, but
they needed an outfield bat.
And they went ahead and did something very smart in getting Marlon Byrd. I mean, he's a pretty reliable outfielder. I mean, he's not the best. Obviously, you'd rather have Hunter Pence out there, but yeah, it's interesting. In San Diego, 3-game winning streak there, almost at 500. They're 59-62, so maybe their season won't be a complete loss, but they really should have been in the postseason picture in some facet with the offseason moves that they made, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And Arizona is 3 games under 500. They sort of fell off.
Yeah.
For a while, Arizona was in the wild card race.
With San Diego, I agreed with what their new front office did with, trying to add a bunch of pieces to try to make a playoff contender, because, I mean, that team that they inherited was so bad, and on paper it looks really good right now. And I agree with what they did, except I think now that they realize it's time to go with a rebuild, give Justin Upton and Ian Kennedy qualifying offers, get the first-round picks for them, maybe see what you can get for Tyson Ross or Andrew Kashner. I mean, it's time to start loading up, because A.J. Preller and his staff traded away a lot of prospects to Atlanta and Tampa Bay, and they gave up a huge prospect in Trey Turner to the Nationals in the Will Myers trade.
Mm-hmm. And, they definitely got rid of their farm system, that's for sure.
Yeah, they did. All the trades they made, there was
all in this year.
Yeah, the Kimbrel trade, the Upton trade, or the Justin Upton trade. They got BJ in the trade they got BJ with Craig Kimbrel. They got Will Myers at the expense of giving up a future franchise shortstop in Trey Turner, which the Nationals were probably thrilled about that, since they knew Ian Desmond was going to leave, and they're probably not too sad about that right now.
It's just interesting. Like, you would think that, I mean, I just don't know why it hasn't all meshed up together.
They got
them.
Derek Norris from the A's, and he's been hitting a lot of home runs this year.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it comes down to pitching. The pitching isn't quite there, although their pitching is better than a lot of teams' pitching. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, they signed James Shields, and they traded for Matt Kemp, and I'm pretty sure they regret that James Shields signing, because one thing that the front office did was they made it kind of like an all-in for this year, only because you know how the Dodgers are eating some of Kemp's money.
Mm-hmm.
They were eating like $18 million of it this year, and then the last, however many years are left on the deal, they're eating only $3 or $4 million every year since then. So it was front loaded in money that's being eaten by the Dodgers. The James Shields signing, I think he's making $5 million this year, and then he's making a lot more money the next 4 years.
Yeah, James Shields was a guy on the Cubs' radar. He ended up going to San Diego, but
I'm sure
that was sort of a good thing.
Yeah, I wonder if he wishes he came to the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have him, but I think the Cubs have their sights set this offseason on acquiring David Price, which would just be awesome if they could get Price or Jordan Zimmerman, anybody. I think they'll get one of those guys.
Yeah, I know when they're looking at guys in the offseason, if they want to make a big splash, I have a feeling the top 2 targets would be Price and Cueto, just because they won't have to give up a first-round pick for them. And that is a first-round pick now, because there won't be any bottom 10 finishes anymore.
No, that's 100% sure on that.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, right now they I believe they still have the 4th or 5th best record in the MLB. So I mean that's a bottom 5 pick in that first round now, and I'm sure they don't want to be just sacrificing first round picks now. I mean, especially if there's a couple guys that they won't have to sacrifice that pick for.
I agree with you there. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk